It's all happening. Here I am at a polling booth in the marginal electorate of Mundingburra, held on just 1.1% by Labor. Now, we know that Coralie O'Rourke, the Labor member for the seat of Mundingburra, she resigned a couple of months ago due to health reasons, leaving the local councillor and Labor candidate for Mundingburra, Les Walker, with not a lot of time to campaign and win over undecided voters. Now, he's going up against a former police officer for the LNP, and that is Glenn Doyle, who's also had some of his own dramas during the course of this campaign, lashed over a sexist social media post. But things are only ramping up further here today, Charlotte. I've just witnessed here at this polling booth a blow-up between Katter's Australian Party candidate Josh Schwarz, who's running for the seat of Townsville, and he was facing off against a passionate local.
I was at university when you were there, you liar. You absolute liar. You're a disgrace.
Anti-uranium sticker.
You are a disgrace.
Anti-uranium sticker.
Hey, Josh, just dare you.
And I'm a former member of the
That is disgraceful.
Charlotte, only 10 a.m. here in Queensland, and things are already escalating that far, so can't wait to see what the rest of the day holds. But certainly a lot of issues front of mind for voters here in North Queensland. The one on everyone's lips, of course, is the issue of youth crime. We know that the LNP have come out with a bold plan to address this issue. They want to bring in a curfew that would give police the power to forcibly detain children under the age of 14 if they're out on the streets past 8 p.m. For those between the ages of 14 and 18, that curfew would be 10 p.m. Here were a couple of local voters on the issue of crime.
Townsville's always had an identity crisis, and the only statistic that makes it a city is the crime rate. Anything to bring the crime rate would be a step forward, regardless of the direction.
We had my oldest boy's bike stolen last year, right in front of the shop. He just pulled up and gone, and two young boys took off with him and his mate's bike. The parents should be held accountable for their children.
So Katter's Australian Party could have plenty of influence here in Townsville and in Queensland. In the event of a hung parliament, we could possibly see a deal done between a major party and one of the minor parties. But we know that Deb Frecklington has really got her eyes here on these North Queensland seats. If the LNP can't pick up any of these seats, they won't be able to form majority government. So Deb Frecklington was here this morning casting her vote here in Townsville. She's making that last-ditch attempt to win over undecided voters. One thing that could also work in her favour today as well is reports yesterday, Charlotte, that the Premier had consulted polling on just how popular our border policy is ahead of making that decision yesterday, where Queensland is going to reopen to more of New South Wales, excluding those from Sydney.
That polling clearly shows that the Premier of Queensland was using this as a political weapon, and that's exactly what has happened, and it is shocking and it is a disgrace that the Premier has misled Queenslanders.
That research that has been plastered around this afternoon is completely false. It was never given to state government, and that is an LNP smear campaign at the 11th hour.
So, Charlotte, all eyes on North Queensland. It's going to be fascinating to watch some of the most marginal seats in the state here, and we'll have to see whether that federal swing towards the LNP is replicated here as well.